Hey guys, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, episode number 47, where we are breaking down Monday Night Raw. I know we're one day late to the party for this, but we got a lot to talk about here, and let's get right into it. As always, I am Mike with 716 Sports Entertainment, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill. And Sean, I wanted to do something a little different today. I was thinking about Raw a lot. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, but as Raw opened up with John Cena coming out to, basically what is his, he's from West Newbury, but basically his hometown of Springfield, Massachusetts, right? And, there wasn't really much to this promo. He talked about Brock and he talked about not being afraid of Brock and the same stuff we've heard from John Cena kind of like over and over again. And I guess what I want to get into with you is John Cena's kind of final run here is coming to an end, right?
Yep.
And we had the heel turn, we had the face turn, and now it's just going to probably be, I would think, two matches with Brock and maybe one or two more matches after that, and then maybe like a TV match. So tops five matches, I would say, between now and the end of the year, right?
He said he has six total appearances left. Well, one of them will be Wrestlepalooza, so he'll have five appearances left after that.
So, Survivor Series,
Per-
um, Perth, so he'll wrestle at least three times and probably a fourth time, right? So let's say four matches, right? Very likely it's going to be two versus Brock because I have a strong inclination that he's probably going to lose this match to Brock.
Yep.
I think it would make a lot of sense, and then he comes back and either his very last match will be against Brock and he will beat him, or we'll kind of do something different. But I guess what I want to get with you initially is, do you think, with this mostly being over now, do you think that this was a success?
It's a tough judgment to make because how often do you get a wrestler who is retiring who gets to go on a full basic year retirement run?
You don't get
You know what I
anybody, but
mean?
it's John Cena.
Right. That's my point, though, is that we're in more or less uncharted territory with this. I mean, even Ric Flair got one match. I'm sorry, technically he didn't. He had that run where if he lost a match, he had to retire, and it ended in him facing Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, which was probably the one of the greatest retirement matches in the history of everything. But
Completely.
that's probably the closest thing we can say to this. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
with this being uncharted territory, it's hard to judge it in like a straight up success slash like failure dynamic,
Hmm.
because parts of it have been successful. I mean, he came back, everyone was huge. He made it to the end of the Royal Rumble. People were watching. It drew about a billion eyes. He won the Elimination Chamber. We got the heel turn, which did what it needed to at the very beginning and got people talking because first time in 16 years, John Cena's a bad guy, yada, yada.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it's out of his control and Triple H's booking control that the Dwayne, no, pardon my French here, fucked all of that up. Um, I mean, after 2020, hindsight's 2020 when it comes to that, and obviously now we can say that it wasn't handled correctly, but
Hmm.
the idea behind it, I think, had potential. Um, Outside factors derailed it and then caused that WrestleMania match to be a dumpster fire. I think that had that not happened, the heel Cena run of replaying his greatest hits there is a good, it has potential, but it getting derailed before it really even started caused that part of his return to be a failure. However, since his face turn at SummerSlam, it's been fantastic. I mean, he's been having great promos. He's looked better in the ring. He actually wrestled a SmackDown match. I mean, he hadn't even wrestled a regular match since he had come back on regular TV. So, and I mean, now we're walking into arguably outside of the Dwayne, his biggest um arch nemesis with Brock. And like you said, I agree. I think we're probably going to get 2 matches out of it. And what better way to close out his career with not just 2 matches with Brock, but whoever else they have him put over.
Who do you think that's going to be?
I don't honestly know because
It's
I
not
really
going to be
like
Dwayne. Like you've been saying Dwayne for a while, but it's not going to be Dwayne anymore.
no, as much as I think as much as a match with Dwayne would have made sense, he is just not able to go in the ring. And he just looked so bad. I don't know if it's because all the roids he started doing when he went to Hollywood, but sorry, no, not trying to demean or anything, but um, he he wouldn't be able to go. So I think the Brock matches are fantastic. I think him closing against Brock, I didn't even think of that until you just mentioned it. But having him in his final match be against Lesnar and overcome the Beast as his greatest triumph has a lot of potential. And I mean, most people retiring, we mentioned it when we talked about Baron Corbin and Kurt Angle and what a waste that was. Most people retiring is used to put over other people. I think that there are certain situations where that doesn't need to be done, like Flair and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels didn't need to be put over there. So honestly, I think that match is a standalone fine one. But I think Cena deserves to go out on top for
I agree.
everything he's done for the company, both as a sports entertainer slash wrestler, depending on who's in charge and what year it is, and everything he's done from them for a marketing standpoint, between being one of their first WWE Studios actors with the Marine and 12 rounds and all that, and then to everything he's done from a charitable spot with Make a Wish and about 17 billion Make a Wish kids that he has um,
Almost
helped.
600.
I know it's too bad that he's never gotten to Terrence's wish, but I think that that alone gives him reason enough to go out on top. And as far as your other people, if he's going to lose to Brock, I have a hard time seeing him going up against anybody else that he's going to lose against. You know what I mean? He's got 5 appearances left after what we're expecting to be a loss at Wrestlepalooza. One will be a win. I think he's got Survivor Series, and we already know he's going to be at Crown Jewel in Perth. Um, I think that he wins both of those, whoever it is he goes against. I know there was talk about it being Gunther, but I don't know that it should be. I mean, maybe give me another run back because he's on Raw now. Give me another run back to his feud with Rusev.
Yeah.
Give me a match with Rusev.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into Rusev in a little bit, because he finally looks like he's having some progress with his character. But yeah, I think I agree. And I want to say, like looking back at it, obviously hindsight being 2020, but I I feel like the heel turn was a mistake.
Yeah,
And I think you could have done this the entire time, keeping him a face. Obviously, there's no payoff because we've talked about this ad nauseum. Dwayne is a piece of garbage, and he tried to make it all about himself, and he basically tried to ruin this with himself and with Travis Scott, and just making it complete nonsense, right? Like there was no reason kind of for any of that because there was no payoff to that story, and there's not going to be a payoff to that story, so it was kind of a waste, right? And I think honestly, in thinking about it too, I kind of feel like, well, I don't think Randy Orton gets hurt from this, and I don't think CM Punk gets hurt from this, but I really do feel like Cody got hurt from this,
he did.
like a lot. Like I think that part of Cody's popularity is gone, and I don't think that it will recover.
I mean, it definitely took a hit because no matter what, even if you have a heel Cena, Cena is too big of a star and he's still going to get cheered over other people.
Mhm.
I mean, I can think of very few people out there that would get cheered over Cena, and that's like maybe the Undertaker, um,
Austin. Yeah.
or Austin, yeah. But so automatically you have that as as sort of a hill that Cody has to overcome. Um, but I it's not so much the fact that he won't recover it because I mean, don't forget how much the crowds hated Cody anyway. I mean, guy nobody cheered for him. But I think that Cody is fine. Once we get him back on TV more frequently, he has this upcoming match with Drew, which will be a fine match. Um, I think that it will he'll regain some of that luster that he lost. Maybe probably not all of it, but at least a little bit of it.
Yeah, I mean that's Cody's match with Drew will probably be the second best match on the card this weekend.
Mhm.
Like as far as like a technical in-ring match, the best being Io and Stephanie, I think
The
probably by a wide margin.
the only problem though with this Cody and Drew match is outside of Cody and Drew, um, he's going to face a similar problem to what's going on the women's roster in on SmackDown, in that there's only like one or two people that can consistently be in the main event with him between Drew and um Randy Orton. I mean, who else are you going to put up there again? Solo? Like we saw how well that worked. I mean, you could put Damian Priest up there for maybe a week or two, but
I think he's gonna have a program with Drew. I think he's gonna have a program with Aleister Black. And then honestly, by the time those things are over, if they don't have the program with Randy, I think it's going to have to be some kind of brand split, or we're going to have to move some people around. But I mean, we're getting way off topic here. We're
yeah.
talking about Cody, but okay. So moving on then, the show's first match opened up with Lyra Valkyria and Roxanne Perez. And this was a fine match. I don't think honestly it got enough time, but every time I see Lyra Valkyria, I think she gets better and better in the ring, and she's definitely growing on me more as a character, and I really enjoy her a lot. But the story of this match was obviously what happened after the match when our first appearance of our new Bayley character came out to the ring to kind of beat off and fend off the Judgment Day. And she kind of just went completely nutso. She went and hugged Corey Graves and Joe Tess and Alicia Taylor, and just hugged people in the crowd. And she was just kind of like, completely, I don't know, just like nutso, if you will. And it was like super interesting. You can tell, you can kind of tell she's like very clearly invested in this character, and she's trying to kind of like be a lot like trying to just have a fun time with this character. So, I'm very interested to see where it goes.
So from the second she hit the ring to help Lyra, they you could tell that she was trying to portray her hugger character
Yeah.
just based on not even just the way that she came down to the ring, but the moves she was hitting. Like she hit the Bayley to belly, like the big time one. She hit that like stunner thing that we used to do. She did the like whoa stomach or the whoa like splash in the corner.
Yeah.
Um, the only unfortunate part to this, and I'm kind of surprised they had Lyra get the win here, is that as good as Lyra has been, her being used sort of as just an accessory to this overall story, I don't think has really done her a ton of favors. And the other part is with the Judgment Day, like we talked about, I think last week. Where are they going with the Judgment Day? I mean, is it just going to turn back into them feuding with Lyra and Bayley again? I mean, we saw that right around WrestleMania. I mean,
I think your point that you made a little while ago about everything is kind of just in limbo until Liv comes back, I think
yeah,
is just kind of the way things are going to go, right? Like we saw a backstage segment a little bit later in the show where they were all kind of like, where Finn kind of got pissed again about the El Grande Americanos helping Dom out. And, then Rusev coming, which was going to be my point later. And it seems like Rusev is, your next challenger for the IC belt, which, hopefully Rusev takes it off of him.
Yes.
Because like
Hopefully
that
Rusev's.
that belt needs that now that he's got the AAA championship, that that IC title desperately needs to be on a non-comedy character.
I mean, people love Dom. He got a huge pop when he won that title at Worlds Collide. Um, so he is a successful character and he can go in the ring. They just need to like he was doing way better when they were treating him more seriously. Like as funny as it was to refer to him as like Jailbird Dom, like when you were taking him more seriously and he was coming out with like acting like he had more of an edge, that was better for that character. And that's the kind of character I wouldn't mind seeing carrying that belt. But with Rusev now, with his eyes set on that belt, I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to have Rusev win. You have Rusev lose to Dom, and I don't think it's quite a burial, but it definitely knocks him down quite a few pegs.
Completely agree.
Um, and then as far as the Judgment Day goes, like the problem with it is I don't know who's gonna. I imagine Finn is gonna be one obviously that turns, but I'm not sure how it's gonna break up the group. So the sooner Liv gets back, the better.
Yeah, completely agree. We also had the continuing I don't even know how to describe this, but the continuing abuse of Kyrie Sane from Asuka in a backstage segment. And you gotta, I absolutely love the way that they have been doing this because Kyrie really is like playing it up hard that she's like just being like borderline abused by Asuka. And I think that that's absolutely hysterical. And they're both doing like excellent, excellent work. Actually, and to be honest with you, EO actually kind of almost feels like the third wheel
Yep.
in this this whole situation. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here because they had a backstage segment which obviously led to a match where Asuka volunteered Kyrie for a match with Stephanie Becker, and this happened a little bit later in the show, but we'll just talk about it now. Um, so we had Stephanie versus Kyrie, and it was a great match. I mean, Stephanie is a lot of fun, and Stephanie did get the win, and then Asuka kind of tried to interject right after Stephanie hit the SVB and followed up by the pinfall. But Io came down, interjected herself, and it very clearly kind of seems like, unless they swerve us, but it very clearly seems like one of two things is going to happen. Either it's all been a complete swerve and Asuka is going to help Io win, or Asuka is going to cost Io and Stephanie is going to win. Asuka is 100% going to be involved in the finish of their Wrestlepalooza match.
I'm about 50-50 as of right now on which of those options it's going to be because they're doing so well with playing this story out. Couple points I want to make here. I love that Stephanie changed the way she does her finisher now and hits it with like the code breaker type falling back. It makes the move look way more impactful than the way she was doing it. That was
Mhm.
probably my only issue with her was that her finisher didn't look super great. Um, I also really, really enjoy the way every time Asuka walks off stage and Kyrie's still behind, she goes, Kyrie! And like and
So
like
good.
bellows for her.
And Kyrie
Um
just gets this face like, oh my gosh, he's gonna beat me.
yeah, and I mean I know we shouldn't be celebrating abusive relationships, but they're playing this in like I hate to say in a comedic way, but almost in a comedic way. And
Oh,
I think you're
you're meant to laugh at this. You're meant
yeah.
to laugh.
Um, but I am very curious to see which way this goes with
Hmm.
the Wrestlepalooza match because I really could see it being Asuka comes out and acts like she's gonna miss Stephanie, but ends up missing Io, or just going the other way around and missing Stephanie. The only thing as far as this match goes is I don't think it should have been Io that came out to rescue Vicar. I think it should have been Rhea because they've really been playing up something going on between Rhea and Asuka too. So I think that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think either way, it's going to be fun. And I said it earlier in the pod I think that match is going to be probably the best match on the card this weekend.
Yes.
really do. I think it's going to be a fantastic match because both of those women are awesome, and I think it's going to be just lights out. Um, Next we have the latest in the rivalry between Penta and the New Day. Woof, like absolute woof. Whereas Penta squared off against Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, and it's just more of the same. Like just absolutely more of the same. And Penta did hit the Mexican Destroyer for the win over Kofi Kingston, but this was just boring. Like I had no interest in this kind of whatsoever. Too much, and it seemed like for me, too much of this match took place during the commercial break, and I just can't get into this feud at all. Like I really needed this to be over with. The New Day, they are just not interesting to me right now at all. And it's such a shame because everyone, talks about how they had the greatest heel turn like ever, but it's been so poorly handled after that it's just kind of been a little bit disappointing for me.
So the heel turn for the New Day should have been followed up with them immediately winning the titles and going on a dominant run. But they didn't do that. And so that was where their mistake was. The wrestling in the match between Kofi and Penta itself was really good. I mean, that springboard Mexican destroyer off the ropes was pretty awesome. However, this is another one of those cases where I think it's hurt by the fact that it is sort of just spinning in place waiting for something. When you consider that they had that backstage segment where all three of them were beating down on Penta. Um, and I think that this is all just leading up to Penta getting a group together to fight back against them. And the sooner that happens and this feud ends, the better. I know T has been talking for a while about trios titles. And as much as I don't think that WWE needs another set of titles, if that's the direction they're going, they just need to get it done.
Yeah, I think if they go that direction, I feel like what we need to do then is retire one set of tag team titles,
Yeah.
and then just have men's tag team titles and women's tag team titles, and then you have these trios titles, right? And like that's it. I think that that's probably the way you have to go with this, but I mean, time will tell. I guess I just kind of feel like, but it's the same thing like with Rusev, right? Like I just kind of feel like Penta's being wasted a little bit here because Penta, AJ Styles, Rusev, Finn Balor, like you should have these guys fighting each other every single week for that IC title. You know what I mean? Like all of those guys should be in the mix for that IC title. Sheamus is another one, like all of those guys. Just have them all beating the crap. LA Knight, right? Because now, I mean, he's still kind of in something here, but he's another one. Like just have them all intermixed in that IC title, right? And then
Or
every 6 months, do a ladder match where they all kill each other.
hear me out. Here's a crazy idea. Move a couple of them to SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Because SmackDown desperately needs, so because you've got a lot of guys on Raw who really aren't doing that much. So yeah, put them on SmackDown because SmackDown desperately needs new people.
Yeah.
You know, um, there was as well kind of a night-long storyline between the Usos and LA Knight, where initially right as the show was kicking off, Jimmy and Jay were making their way in, and LA Knight kind of jumped them, and they started kind of brawling a little bit. Adam Pearce had to break it up, and then LA Knight made it a point that he wants the bronze in the main event, and he's like, I don't care which ones you get, blah blah blah. And so Adam Pearce told him he had to find a partner. And then, Jimmy and Jay had a little bit of heat. And Jimmy was like, look, you're not the tribal chief. You don't have the Ulafala. So I'm not going to listen to you, basically, because it seems like, we're slowly going into this Jay dark side kind of character thing. Um, and then, yeah, it caused Jimmy to go to LA Knight and be like, yeah, I'll partner with you later on at the end of the show when you take on the bronze. So this is kind of like an overplaying story throughout the entire episode of Raw. And I guess where do you think they're going with this? Is it LA Knight turning heel? Is it Jay turning heel? Like what
I think
direction, like how are you feeling about this whole thing? And you think it's a little bit like too little too late?
The only thing that I could think of is that, I mean, they've been going back and forth trying to get their even up on each other. And all I can think of is that if this isn't turning one of them heel, we're gonna get a reveal of somebody that way we can have a six-person tag match with the Bronze and somebody against the Usos and LA Knight. But I do like this change of attitude from Jey and the way it ties back to how Roman had said that he could see him as the tribal chief at some point. And I just I don't the problem is that I don't know where you put LA Knight out of this or where you put Jimmy because once their tag team match with the Bronze is done at Wrestlepalooza, I mean, does Jimmy just stay around backing up his brother and not doing anything else? Does LA Knight fall into mediocrity in the mid card? I mean, these are guys who 2 weeks ago were in the main event. Like
Yeah.
where do we go from here? They both theoretically could still be contenders for Seth, but Seth is going to be tied up with Punk for a while. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Seth is tied up with Punk for another 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still of the mind that Punk needs to be the one to take that title off of him.
I agree,
And
100%.
I think his Roman match is likely after he's done with the title.
I'm
But
fine with that.
we'll certainly see how that goes. Speaking of Punk, the next segment saw probably what was my most anticipated thing on this show, which was Punk and AJ Lee having a face-off with Seth and Becky. So the heels came out to the ring first, and then shortly followed by after Seth went on just a long, long, long introduction of himself and of Becky, and Becky going on her thing about how everybody says that I'm great. Sports Illustrated says that I'm great, and ESPN says that I'm great, and blah 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 blah. And I like it that she keeps saying that to kind of like reinforce that because it shows like the insecurities in the character, and
Hmm.
like I really like what Becky has become, whereas. I don't really think that Seth has changed all of that much. I think he's just kind of a dick now. But like, I actually think that like Becky is really putting an effort into making her character different. And I kind of like that, you know?
The
So, but with that being said, this segment, I mean, the crowd was super into AJ Lee, like because of course they were going to be. And I do think that the segment went on a little too long, but I think the tension between these four is excellent. And I think if what Terrence or whichever one of you guys said that Seth and Punk are like cool with each other now, and they're like kind of like being like, how can we make this the best that it can be? You can clearly tell that the chemistry between these four, obviously with AJ being new, but still like you can clearly tell the chemistry, especially between Seth and Punk, is it gets better every time they interact. And like, when they eventually, I know they've had a couple of singles matches, but when they eventually have that singles match for the title, it's going to be money.
I think the biggest thing for me coming out of this was seeing AJ Lee take that bump.
Mhm.
It definitely lets you know that she's in ring shape. Um, I think the banter back and forth between the two groups was real good. The point that AJ and Punk made about whose ego was going to crack first on Seth and Becky's side was a real good point, and I think that's going to play into the match quite a bit. And I think the fact that they used that as their fake out to come back and take out AJ was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
Um, you're right. Becky definitely has invested a lot more into her character than Seth has, but Seth has always been that kind of smarmy douchebag, even when he's been a face, that walks that borderline of being like a dick.
Yeah.
And like his visionary character is basically just him being a dick taken to the next level.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
with wanting to run everything. I mean, remember when he was the Monday Night Messiah character? And like it's everything dialed up to 11.
Yeah.
And it's he can do it really well because he just just like exudes that like douchey aura, and um, he plays to it real well. Like he even did it when he was part of the Shield.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, but I think this match is going to be a lot of fun. And I think to your point about AJ taking a bump, I'm glad to see that she took a bump here,
Yeah.
and is presumably fine. But yeah, I think it's gonna, and I think Becky is the perfect person to pair her against for her first match because
Yeah.
Becky will make her look good. And I think at the same time, Becky is extremely safe,
Yeah.
so I think it will be fine. And I wouldn't be surprised if I don't actually know what is her finisher, AJ Lee?
I know that she had the like Black Widow thing submission move. I don't remember what else she uses.
I gotta imagine at some point she's gonna give Seth Rollins that bitch slap that she gave to Becky during
Yeah.
that match. Like I put money on it. Like that is absolutely going to happen. That lick her lip thing where she
Yep.
just whacks him. She's absolutely gonna do that to Seth at some point, and it's gonna be great.
Oh, for sure.
So I'll let you take the lead on the next matchup here because I have a lot to say about this and I want to go on a rant. So I will let you talk about the next match with the three amigos that made their appearance to the ring here.
Well, I mean, we have to every Monday get our weekly dose of Dragon Lee losing. So, we definitely got that. Mind you, I don't hate the El Grande character. I just want the El Grande character to have a defined direction. And I think that its direction is this like unit. And mind you, I really love that they did the stupid Spider-Man meme of them all pointing at each other. I think that was hysterical. But as long as they don't lose track of what story they're trying to tell with El Grande, and my do you want my honest hope is that when Chad Gable returns, it turns into him trying to reclaim the El Grande mask, and that's the end game of this. But that's just where I'm at, and I already know that you're going to hate you because you were already talking about starting to hate the El Grande thing. I think that as long as, like I said, they have a defined storyline for it, I'm okay with it.
So I will say this. Ludwig Kaiser is actually a better El Grande Americano than Chad Gable.
Yes.
I think Ludwig Kaiser is absolutely fantastic. I think this is great for him. That is where this stops for me. I am really starting to lose interest in this. And if you want to use if the sole purpose of this right now is to use this as just fun stuff for TV, fun stuff for the live audiences, to put a match on, to get guys like Dragon Lee and Ludwig Kaiser and I don't know, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, whoever these other guys are, to get them on TV, right? Like if that's the purpose of this, fine. But A, I don't want AJ Styles anywhere near this. Unfortunately, that's where they've chosen to put him. But also B, whatever is going on with them and the Judgment Day, this shit's got to stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this character anywhere near titles at all. I don't, and I am not like Mr. I need everything in my wrestling to be serious. Like, I am not that guy. But I've probably had a very strong opinion on this podcast about how I don't really like comedy characters to have what are, in my opinion, non-comedy titles.
Don't be
And
that guy.
I think that like the main championship, Seth's title, Cody's title, should never be held by a comedy character. And
No.
frankly, the I think the IC title should never be held by a comedy character. I think that if you want to do that, that's what you have the US title for. I really do. I think the US title to me is like I know it's on Sammy right now, and I know how you feel about Sammy, but like the US title to me seems like such an insignificant title. And if you want to like use it as a prop for like a comedy character, go ahead. But like the IC title has always in its history, it's been Razor Ramon's title and Bret Hart's title and all in Gunther's 660 some odd day reign title and the Miz who held it for 7 or 8 times, and he was great with it, when the Miz had Bo Dallas and who was the other guy? The B team with him.
Oh, Curtis Axel.
Yeah, Curtis, that when he had those guys with him as his posse, the Miztourage. And like, when he feuded against Roman Reigns and Cena, and like Miz had all those when Miz was awesome, like
Absolutely.
back in the day, and all those guys. And they had that one WrestleMania match when it was Miz, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and somebody else. Maybe it was AJ. But it was like one of the best matches on the entire wrestling. It was a ladder match for the IC title. It was like the first match on the card. It was like WrestleMania, I don't know, like 32 or something like that. It was awesome.
Was that the one Zack Ryder won? And
No,
then
I
Miz
think
won back right away.
I think Seth Rollins won it.
Seth?
Yeah. But it was like it was awesome. And so like the IC title has just been awesome for like a long time. You still got that thing with Sheamus, who still needs to win it. So
Yeah.
it really pisses me off with Gunther or with Dominic Mysterio, frankly, just wasting that title. And that's kind of like what I feel like what is happening because Dominic's a comedy character. He doesn't win his matches without nonsense. And like there's a difference between Dominic Mysterio nonsense and Roman Reigns nonsense. Because Roman Reigns did the same thing, right? Like Roman Reigns had a lot of help, if you will, to win that title. But the idea behind that was you got vested in that story because you wanted to see the eventual hero who was going to be the one to overtake Roman Reigns and his crazy empire and blah and like what they were building Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns was also dominating and menacing and like yeah he cheated to win sometimes but like the character was awesome. I think Dominic's character sucks. It's not
So
interesting at all. And I know I'm going on like a rant here, but like there needs to be a change. And I think the perfect character to put it on is Rusev. And it would be like you can turn Rusev into the next Gunther if you do this right.
so to your point, I think there's two different things with Dom though. I think when Dom is cheating like he did against AJ the first time, where he unzipped his boot and won that way, I think that kind of winning is fine because that's like an Eddie Guerrero type of cheating to win. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Versus when he's having El Grande interfere in every single one of his matches to help him. I think the first form of cheating is an acceptable way
Completely
of
agree.
doing it versus constantly having your goons help you win when your goons aren't actually invested in anything. I think
Right.
the one positive is I don't think you see El Grande near any of the main WWE titles. I think
Good. Yeah, I
maybe
agree.
maybe you see him with the AAA title, and maybe that's what he wanted was that's what the story is going to be is that he wanted a shot at the AAA title. But I don't. I think we're safe in saying that the El Grande character won't be anywhere near the main WWE titles.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't I just don't love it. But I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see where it goes. We talked about the Stephanie match, so the final thing was the main event between LA Knight and Jimmy Uso versus the Bronze, and the Bronze got the win. I don't really know. I mean, the match was fine. I mean, it wasn't remarkably different from any other incarnation of this match that we've seen before. I think Jimmy and Knight have some good chemistry between one another. I think the post-match angle, kind of like what we talked about with Jay a little bit, where Jay came out after the fact and kind of basically made it seem like, hey, bud, are we good? Because the Bronze won the match and then they continued their beatdown, causing Jay to come out. Jay kind of chased them off with the chair. And then, Knight hit the BFT on Jay after Jay kind of went for like a, hey, are we cool handshake. But I guess that's kind of my point is what I was trying to get at earlier with you a little bit. Do you think that like Jey, it's definitely Jey, right? Like it's not LA Knight. Like LA Knight was just giving him a receipt. Like Jay's going to be the one that turns heel here.
I think so. Um, Before we get to that though, did you notice that they had Bronson pick up the win again? They've been
Yeah,
having Bronson,
they've
he's
been
been
they've been
picking up the wins.
they've been doing that. I'm fine with it. I don't think Breaker needs it.
No, I think it's showing that they have faith in Bronson a little bit more. And I think it's good for him personally. But
Well,
I just wanted to mention
I
that.
think they're trying to build him up because he's the weakest link of the three. Like Breaker's already a star, and everybody already like when you watch those matches, you're waiting for Breaker's next big move. I think you know what I mean because of like the way he can just go a million miles an hour and hit that like the best spear that anyone's ever delivered ever. Like
Yeah,
he delivers that spear so hard, his body is like at like a 70-degree angle. Like it is
yeah.
unbelievable how high and how hard and fast he can hit that spear.
But you're right. I do think that it has to be Jay that turns just based on the sheer amount of things he's been doing. Like everything that LA Knight has done has been basically in receipt to things Jay has been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay's overall attitude, his the way he was talking down to Jimmy, like I mean, it's setting up the perfect chance to swerve and have it be LA Knight, but I don't know that WWE is that smart.
I don't know. I just don't think it makes sense if it's LA Knight. But then to your point, right? Like, what do we like? What are we gonna do with these characters? Like, are we gonna get another like Jimmy and Jay match? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I'm not interested in that at all. You know, I don't. I don't
M-
know. I mean,
My hope is though that
maybe we
Roman.
get another J, or maybe we get another Jay and Roman match.
That's my hope. Is that it's Roman coming out and being like, Jay, you're better than this, and trying to slap some sense into him.
And then
And
Jay needs to beat him. Jay needs to
Jay,
beat.
yeah, Jay needs to go over.
Yeah, that would be cool because then you could really make Jay into a. I mean, Jay's already a big star, but you could make Jay into a mega star if you have him beat Roman.
Yeah, if I'm WWE and I want to show that I truly believe that he's main event Jey Uso, he has to beat Roman.
That could be where we go with this. And actually, I could see a world where at WrestleMania you've got Cody versus Randy, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, and Jay versus Roman
Roman.
Reigns.
Yeah,
That would be a lot of fun.
yeah.
I like that a lot. If you sign me up and then Rhea versus Stephanie, Io versus Asuka, Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. Like I have a feeling half of these things I just said are probably going to happen at WrestleMania next year, and it's going to be
Oh, for
awesome.
sure.
It's going to be awesome. So that was Monday Night Raw. What are your final thoughts?
So, most part, great show. Continues the trend of Raw being much better than SmackDown, which is to be expected considering the rosters on both shows. And for a go home show with Wrestlepalooza this weekend, it was one of the better go home shows in the last couple months. We've been having some seriously lacking ones, and I think this did a pretty decent job of finalizing some feuds and getting us prepped for the PLE on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Saturday is going to be a good time. I mean, you got the AEW show in the afternoon, and then you've got WrestlePalooza right after that. So I think it's going to be a good time for all you wrestling fans out there. You're going to get a full day of wrestling on Saturday, followed by a full day of football on Sunday. So good weekend all around. Yeah, and I think with that, that is our episode. We will be breaking down the Bills game for you, or previewing the Bills game for you guys coming up in a little bit here. And we will also have our predictions for you as well coming out for WrestlePalooza, which I believe right now is a six-match card. Is
I think
that
so,
right?
something like that.
Six-match card. So we'll have our predictions, and I promise you I will continue to keep my lead for that. we're gonna speaking of those predictions as well, we're gonna do things a little bit differently here, just to kind of like make it a little bit more fair and give these guys a chance to catch up. And I will explain when we do our predictions video.
You
But
can't leave it hanging like that.
with that, I have been Mike with 716 Sports Entertainment, joined with Mr. Sean O'Neill. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this pod. And, stay tuned next week, Tuesday, for our very special 50th episode of the podcast. And we thank you guys for being along with us for the ride. We really appreciate it. And have yourselves a fantastic evening and take care. Thank you guys so